Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Moy Style podcast. So today we have a pretty unique episode because we have two umpires. Normally I interview coaches or players, but I kind of wanted to see the other side of the game, and so I was like, why not bring the umpires? Which these are the guys that probably a lot of people don't like, but they're human beings, and I really want to get their side of it. So, guys, I appreciate you for being on today. If you don't mind, what I normally do is let everybody introduce themselves, and we'll kind of get started with the question. I don't know who wants to get started first.
Well, my name is Steve Mckinny.
Yep.
I've been umpiring for 5 years here in the Oklahoma City area. I've done high school. I have done 3A state. I have done NAIA college. I've done NCAA Division II college, right here around Oklahoma and Kansas, and that is my background.
What about you?
Go ahead, Lance.
I'm Lance Knight, and I've been umpiring about 4 years. Two-time back-to-back state umpire, and this year I got to do 4A state, which was probably the most fun I had umpiring.
Mm-hmm. That was a breakdown, right?
I didn't get to do Saturday.
No,
I did.
breakdown. That's right.
Mine was at Noble.
That's right.
Thursday,
yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, because 5A and 6A was a breakdown.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that was a pretty intense game.
Yeah, 4A baseball's incredible.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, they're pretty good. Now, I always like to ask this question. Well, I don't ask the umpires this, but now I get the opportunity to ask this. So, what inspired you guys to become an umpire? Because I know this got to be a pretty tough, field to be in, because all this crap that you get from the coaches and parents and fans and everything. So, what inspired you guys to become an umpire?
For me, I grew up playing it. Then I coached my son. Then when he quit playing, I just missed being part of the game. So now I get to have the best seat in the house, and you get paid too for it. So it's fun for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about you?
I'm pretty much just like Lance. I coached my son, coached all three of my boys actually, and then as they were all growing and not playing no more, and then I had a daughter that played softball, and I coached her, and I run her off the game, to be honest with you. She'll tell you, she goes, you just ruined that. You keep yelling at me. I got to yell at you across the field. So anyways, my wife turned around and told me, she goes, you ought to try an umpire. And I'm like, I literally looked at her like she had lost her ever-loving mind. And like Lance said, I thought, man, I think I'll give it a shot. And he's right. I get to be still part of the game, and I get the best seat in the house and get to watch these kids grow and develop.
Right.
And still get yelled at.
Yeah, and I still get yelled at.
You just get paid for it now.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I always wondered that, because I'm like, man, it's got to be tough to be an umpire. Because, when you're winning, you're in the winning team, you're going to be the best umpire. But when you're losing, they'll find a way to blame it on you one way or another. Now, so what kind of, I know you guys work at different levels, so what kind of certification you guys have to coach either the high school level or the college level?
Well, for high school, you have to be certified. You have to take a course, pass the test. Then they want you to go to 8 meetings throughout the off season to first, like, education, certain situations. You learn about that, and rules, and the new rules coming out, the emphasis, new rules. But basically, pass the test, pay your fee, and start learning.
Gotcha. What about the college level?
So same thing, but the college level is you will have to do a lot more camps, learning the different systems. So they'll want you to do camps. You still have to take a test through the NCAA.
Regardless what level you're trying to.
Yes.
Okay.
You're still, like I said, your assigners are going to want you to do camps to get adjusted. That's kind of where they evaluate you and decide where you need to be on the college level.
But the camps are like what they're running a camp where they're teaching you what you're supposed to do, or you're actually
teaching you. They're watching your mechanics, how you are now, and then adjusting you. Like, hey, you need to slow down. You need to have better timing of making this call.
Is there such a thing as a school for umpires or not? Like an academy or something?
You have pro school, the Wendelstadt Pro School, which I think is in Florida.
Okay.
Triple play umpires, where I've been affiliated with, they have multiple camps down in Tomball, Texas. Lance's son is a pretty good umpire himself. He just went to a camp in Kansas City.
Okay.
And there was a whole bunch of assigners for different colleges and different leagues where they like you, they'll pick you up right then and offer you a job.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you don't have to really work a lot of years to be able to get that opportunity if you get lucky.
No.
That's cool. Yeah, never knew that. Now, before I ask you this question, so a lot of people may wonder, so what do they talk about at the plate meeting?
What are they talking to plate meeting?
I mean, I don't know, that kind of threw you guys off a little bit with that question, but
usually we're going to ask that at the high school level, we're going to make sure that they are legally and properly equipped. Like they're wearing the proper gear. They've got to have certain type of gear. We're gonna have the home coach go around and give us the ground rules to the stadium, the field. We're gonna discuss, like, if there's an instance where you coaches need to come out and have a conversation with us, how that procedure is going to happen. We're also going to talk about those ground rules. Like I said, those ground rules. We're going to take the lineups. We're going to go through lineups, make sure everybody's on there. No duplicate numbers, no duplicate names.
right.
And that's pretty much it. That's how mine is.
Yeah. Once we get the lineups in our hand, the game is official. Once we give it the lineups to us, the game can begin.
Right.
And also, to me, it's a meet and greet. We get to know each other's names, which is important.
Well, and that was going to be my next question. I'm glad that you brought that up. So because when you first go to the plate meeting, do you get to obviously introduce yourself? So do you get to, do you like being called Blue, or I guess it comes with the territory, or you prefer it to be called by your name?
It doesn't bother me to be called Blue, but when someone calls me by my name, it's more respectful. And then I can call them by their name. I will anyway. Once I get you, I put your name on my notepad, then I'll call you by your name.
Right.
And I expect the same thing, especially in high school or college. 12U, prep and under, you really don't have that rapport with the same umpires. We get to know them more. But yeah, I like being called by my name.
Yeah. What about you? Same thing?
Yeah, it's right along those lines. For me, it's if it's a coach I've worked with multiple times, I would almost find it a little more disrespectful. Like if I've umpired with you and you just walk out and call me Blue, I'm like, I've umpired you I don't know how many times, and now you're just going to call me Blue.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he must be mad at me at the moment.
That's when you're not mad.
But if I don't know the coach and haven't done him very much and he just yells at me Blue, it does not bother me.
Okay.
But like if I've worked with him, I hope that we're on a better relationship and he just calls me by my name.
Right. Which I think that should be the right thing. I mean, we don't want to be called, because I guess they call you Blue because that's what you were. But to me, that doesn't make any sense. Even the little ones that I coach, and now they're going to be 12U, so I teach them the same thing. I'm like, when you go up to sometimes I forget, but when you go to the plate, the catcher, I tell them, introduce yourself and let them know your name, and that way you can start learning how to communicate with the umpire, because I feel like it goes a lot better. And I tell the guys that help me out too, I always address the umpires by their name. Now, I'm pretty bad with names, but I try to remember the names, so I feel like it's, in a way, it's more professional, it's more respectful too. So yeah, that's why I always ask that, because I don't know. I thought it was
that symbol goes a long way to me.
Yeah. No, for sure. Now, how would you handle like disputes from with players and coaches? Like how do you handle that? Because sometimes I know it can get out of control.
Well, players don't get to dispute.
Mm-hmm.
The head coach can. The assistants can't either.
At the high school and college level, or just or one or the other, or both?
No, both. Yeah. The
Okay.
Players can't dispute,
Okay.
but we won't allow it.
So how do you handle if the player, because you will have some players that will lose their mind, and how do you handle that?
Well, I had an instance at UConn this year. Can we say names? Team names?
Yeah, sure.
Where I was on the
Ryan's
dish.
going to be mad at you. Just telling you right
He meant
now.
to listening.
Yeah, if he'd listened, so
I had a
help
runner
us.
at second base, ball kisses the outfield, so I'm watching the tag at third. Runner comes to home. I get in my position, tag, and called him out. So as he's getting up, he rolls off towards, and I heard him go, "That's fucking ridiculous." And I looked, I said, "4, come here." And here comes the head coach coming down. He goes, "Lance, I got this." He said, "Let's effing go." I said, "No, he didn't. I know what he said." I said, "Here's the deal. You handle it right now, or he's done." But he said, "I got this. I'll handle it. I promise you." So the next half inning, he comes back to bat. He goes, "Mr. Lance, I'm so sorry. My emotions got the best of me. It'll never happen again." It's like, yeah, coach got him.
All right.
And that was good for me because we don't like tossing kids out. We hate tossing coaches. Players want their coaches to be there, and the players need their coaches. We don't like tossing anybody out. But that instance, he deserved to go, but I felt like I like this coach, and I know he's going to get him more than I'll get him. And it happened in a good way.
Right. No, go ahead.
Yeah, by high school rule, you drop foul language. It should be an automatic. But I do think we have the discretion, and I do believe it depends on the kid and how it happens. You know, like he said, he just didn't like the call, made a comment, and that's fine. And he handled it that way. I had an instance. I'm not going to bring up names because this is this happened to me, and I'm telling you, it happened. The game started at 5:00, and at 5:05, I had 10 text messages asking me, "You threw the leadoff out?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." So I had a leadoff, and we started the game with 2 pitches on the outer half of the plate, strike, spike, curveball. Then they came back with that same pitch, and I rung him up. That kid turned and looked at me, and he said, "You have to be effing kidding me. There's no effing way that was a strike." And looking me dead in the eyes, he's saying it. Not just walking off, not just making his comment. No, he turned and made sure that he knew he was talking to me.
Right.
And I just looked at him and I said, "Well, you're done. Go sit down because you're done and you're out." Of course, the head coach, he come out and he's like, "Steve, you're not even giving out." No, there's no warning. And I told the coach, I said, "This is exactly what he said to me. Looked me in the eye and said it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's done."
Right.
And that game was just bad from then on because that coach was mad at me. He was going to let me know about it. And I did everything I could to keep him in the game. And I did keep him in the game until I finally had to warn him. It's like, "Hey, I'm over talking. I'm over letting you argue everything. We're done." So I gave him his warning, and it stopped everything.
So you didn't end up tossing him at all?
No, I didn't. Like you said, I'm not here to toss. I'm not trying to toss kids, and I'm not trying to toss coaches. I actually want the coaches to stay because if I toss a coach, then I got to deal with an assistant. And most time, assistants are crazier than the head coach.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Westmore.
Yeah, not at Westmore.
Yeah, that's right. I'll make sure to let them know that. No, and that you kind of brought up a good point there. So, well, first of all, like I don't agree with obviously coaches letting the players go argue calls and stuff like that because at the end of the day, the coach has got to be the one that's got to step in and set this example for them. Now, I'm not saying that they should go out there and cuss people out, but sometimes things will get heated. But when I feel like when the coaches actually let the players do that, then obviously we're not really setting an example for the kids. So now, before I forget, so you brought up that you rung him up on the outer half. So like do you change the strike zone when with 2 strikes compared to like no strikes at all, or like up in the count or even in the count, or the strike zone stays the same for you?
For me, it stays the same.
Yeah.
It does not change.
So you don't stretch it a couple, like a ball or 2 on the outside corner, like with 2 strikes, like if it's
No.
So it stays the same.
No.
Okay.
A lot of times from the coach's ball bucket, it looks like that, but it's the same. We'll keep it there.
Right. Yeah. Especially with the little ones when they like the coaches will be like, "Where's it at?" And sometimes I'll ask, but I'll ask the catcher, because I kind of want to, because they'll be honest with me, right? Yeah. So the kids will be honest. But sometimes from the side it looks like a strike, but obviously from behind, it's a different story. And that's another thing that I asked you guys before we started here. But so this may be a dumb question, but I was wondering why the heck the umpire works from behind the catcher compared to the main umpire compared to behind the mound. So can you explain that?
Yeah, a lot of sub-varsity games, there's only one umpire available. And the talk between umpires is, hey, you want to call behind the mound or behind the plate? To me, the best place is behind the plate, because you have to get the fair fouls. Mm-hmm. You can't get that call from behind the mound. Right. It's so important. You can rob a kid a triple, a double, or even an easy base hit by calling it a foul when it landed a foot inside that you didn't see from behind the mound.
Right.
So that fair foul is pretty important behind the dish. You can't get that in the field.
Right. And he also mentioned, like, if it's like the, what you call it,
the up and down to the strike zone.
You can see a lot better.
You see so much better from behind the catcher.
Yeah, because I was telling you guys earlier before we started that, in scrimmages or when we're in a squatting, like we obviously will call our own game. And I'm like, man, like it's so hard to see the ball down the line. How do I know it's fair or foul? Obviously, if it's obvious, it's different. But, now it's a pretty good point. I kind of feel silly now because I was like, I should know this, But it's a good point because you can see the field a whole lot better than them seeing it from behind the mountain. Mm-hmm. Now, what about the instant replay and all the stuff? Like, are you guys for it or against it? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm for it. I really am. I mean, because believe it or not, I'm an umpire. I want to get the call right, and if I miss something, man, for what they do in the pros, I think it's awesome. At least we can get the call right, because I like to believe everyone thinks like me, and we want to get the play right. We want to get the call right, no matter what.
So, I went to watch Bricktown minor league game, right? And I'm like, but now I see the other side of it. But I'm like, man, it's gotta be rough. Like, you call a strike, and then the guy knows it's not a strike, and so they call for replay. I don't know how many chance they get to make sure it's a ball strike. But I was like, if I was an umpire, I would be a little bit embarrassed. But I like what you're saying, because you want to get it right. So it's not an ego thing or anything like that. That's why I was asking you, because I wonder if that's because at the big league level, I'm sure they score them on that, and that's how they move up in levels and all that stuff. Now, what about when you make a call? If the guy is, we call them safe or out, are you opposed to reversing the call, or you just leave it at that and you make up on the next play?
So I will say I have done this. I have turned around, knew I blew a call when I made it. I knew I blew it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and of course, the coach comes out and he wants to argue. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk out to my partner and I'm going to check and see if he's got anything different than what I had. Give me more information to see if we've got anything different.
Right.
And I can't remember if it might have been you. And I walked out and I said, I blew this call and we're going to overturn it. And the look on my partner's face was like, we're going to what? I'm like, I know I missed the call. I know I missed it. And we need to make it right. And so we just started laughing, turn around, and change the call because I knew I missed it.
That's pretty That's pretty awesome, but I wish I could say it's happened to me, but but it hasn't happened yet. It always stays the same. Like, I'm sorry, coach, I missed it, but pretty much we're gonna leave it at that. And I'm like, well, crap, but you told me that you missed it, so how about we? What about you? Are you opposed to that or not?
Overturn it to get it
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get it right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to get it right.
Yeah.
You're going to have one coach happy, then sad, then you're going to go, oh, now he's sad, now he's happy. But
Right.
it's still, you got to get the call right.
So you have to wait for the coach to ask you to ask your partner, right? Like ask for help, or you would do it yourself.
No, we probably wait.
So you wait for the coach
say,
to.
Hey, what'd you see there? Did he pull his foot? It's like, I don't know. Did he pull his foot? You got a better angle. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, pulled
okay,
his foot.
he's safe.
I got you.
Let me see if I can remember it. It happened in Dallas. We had a call, and it was a tag running down the first. Kid was running down the first base. Catcher run out in front of me. Instead of going into foul territory, he run straight down the first base line. I was blocked. Never saw it. Actually, the field umpire, it was his call to make that call. And so the kid swipe tags. And I'm like, I don't know. Me, as the home plate umpire, I can't tell whether you make the tag because for some reason the catcher decides to run straight down first baseline. I'm like, well, I have no idea. I look at my partner thinking he's about to make this call, and he looks at me and goes, what are you? I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, anyways, in the whole deal, I watched the runner veer off and takes 3 steps towards the first base dugout. I'm like, in my mind, well, then he knows he's tagged. And so then we got together, and of course the kid turns around and runs to first. And my partner calls safe. And I was like, I walk back and I said, hang on, we're going to get together on this. I walk out and he goes, man, I have no clue. I don't know. I couldn't see it. I was like, well, I couldn't see it. I said, but that runner made 3 steps to the dugout after the swipe tag. I said, that tells me he knew he was tagged and he was headed to the dugout.
Right.
And then his coach told him to go back. I said, so we're going to overturn this because that's the right call. That runner gave himself up.
Yeah.
So we did. Of course, it was not a good, the coach was not happy. Let's just put it that way. But later on, we had a conversation late in that game, and he goes, I know that was the right call. But the way it got handled to get to that point was probably not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But he was like, it's still the right call.
Right. But that's pretty smart though, because like, I mean, you can't see the tag, but you're seeing the guy pretty much giving it away. So that's funny though. I mean, it's funny, but it's gotta be tough at the same time because you got people there, waiting for you to make a call. That's gotta be pretty rough. But now, I know you kind of already mentioned this, but how much do you tolerate from the coaches? So like, what's too much? Like, what's when you say that's enough?
Anything gets personal, usually that's too much. And I mean, we allow them to talk to us. We want them to have a rapport with us and talk. But when you get personal and start getting, then that's when you got to cut us short.
But so does this start getting on your face? That's an automatic toss, or it depends what they say?
What they say.
Oh, it's what they say. Like they're fighting. You guys are fighting for your kids. That's fine. It's a competitive. We're in a competitive environment. It's a competitive game.
Right.
I expect you to be fired up over a call.
Yeah.
And as long as you're not personal, you can come out and tell me, Steve, I think you blew it. You're wrong. You blew this call. Okay. You think I blew it. I'm okay with that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start getting personal, derogatory, and colorful language calling me names, now for me, now you're starting to step over a line that just something's got to be done.
Right.
Whether I tell you that's enough, you need to go back to the dugout. We're done arguing this call. Or to the point like, hey, you're warned. If you continue, I'm going to restrict you. And if you continue after that, then I'm going to eject you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what if the assistant coach comes out? He's the one that. So what happens in that situation? You're like, I know you said that you talk to the head coaches, but what would you do? You toss him?
Yeah. He's done. And they all know that.
Yeah.
Right.
They know I can't.
So you don't toss the head coach. You just toss the assistant coach right away.
Well,
So-
the head coach is restricted then.
Then he's restricted to the dugout
Yep.
because he's responsible for his assistant. And if his assistant comes out acting crazy, we're going to toss him and we're going to restrict the head coach.
And restrict means what?
So he has to go to the dugout. So he has to do everything from the dugout. He cannot come out onto the field.
Even if he's coaching third?
Yep. No, he has to stay in the dugout. So you'll have to have another assistant coach go out and coach third.
Or a player.
Or a mound visit.
Oh, so you can't do a mound
No,
bit?
you can't do a mound
okay.
visit. Now, he can call time, and that player can go clear to the dugout and talk to him, but that's it.
Really? So
Yeah.
that the pitcher can walk all the way to the dugout?
If he wants a time and wants to talk to him.
I honestly never knew that. I never seen it before, so that's good to know.
So
Yeah.
now, for me, honestly, I mean, usually I say this: you come out as an assistant, come out yelling and screaming at me. Yes, I'm dumping you.
Regardless what I say.
So yes, yelling and screaming. You look at me and go, Steve, there's no way. Like, that's what as long as you're respectful and polite,
Right.
I'll talk to you.
Right.
Come yelling and screaming at me as an assistant, I'm going to tell you, no.
You're done.
Yeah,
we'll
you're
go,
done.
We'll go.
Yeah.
You have a question? What's your question? Then
Yeah.
we'll answer it. But if it's just a derogatory statement,
Yeah.
assistant's got to go.
It doesn't mean it's gonna change the call, right? You just
Yeah.
listen, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah. Now we know you're fighting for your kids.
Right.
Especially, well, I had a play in Blanchard 3 or 4 years ago. I'm on the dish. My partner's in the field. We had a rundown between first and second. Rundown. So I say, I'm going to one. Come up to first base, and we got a pickle in the middle. My partner called. I can't remember if it was out or safe now. I'm back behind the plate, and the coach is out there just pointing at his chest, just pointing at his chest. I'm thinking, what is going on? So between innings, I go up to talk to him. We get together. I said, what was he doing? He said, he told me, he said, I don't care. That was a damn good call. I'm going to come out here. I got parents that are watching me. That was a good call. It's like, okay.
That's funny.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Wow. So it's not always bad. Sometimes it can be good. They just
Yeah.
have to show their parents
That you're
are
fighting for your
watching
kids,
that they're
yeah.
fighting for their kids.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that is so funny.
That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. That I may actually use that at some point this next year. As an appreciation for hanging out with me this long, I want to give you 10% off for any of my 2 online infield courses. So you have the Master of Art Fielding course. You can get 10% of that for either the monthly or the yearly, and you can also get 10% off if you purchase the mini course, which is the Master in Field and Timing. When you go over here to my full course, you're gonna have access to over 250 lessons that you can choose from. Just make sure you type in Moy Podcast 10 to get 10% off. And if you follow step by step how I have it set up in this program, I guarantee you're going to see results. That's funny. Okay.
It just happened.
It happens.
Yeah. I wish it were mic'd up so I could hear it. That'd be funny.
Especially in the summertime.
I have had him walk out to me, goes, Steve, what do you got there? Well, he tagged him, and I have an out.
Yeah.
He goes, I got the same thing. I just had to come out here and ask. Okay. Walk back.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I sometimes I play a little bit of mind game with the umpires, but that I may
that's a good
try
one.
that out one time. That's funny. Okay, now what about a fan or a parent, depending what level you're working at? So what's the rule there? Like, well, what's your guys' rule? So, like, do you when they get out of control, and then like, what's too much? And then if you're gonna toss somebody, would you toss the fan or would you toss the The coach, or who would you toss?
Well, in high school, we're not supposed to toss fans or parents. We go to the coach, say, Coach, we got an issue over here. A guy in the gray hoodie. Can you handle that for me? Or get a site administrator to do it. But we're not supposed to eject fans. Now, Little League's different. I mean, Little League, you're on the fence yelling, you're done. See
Okay.
it. But high school, they want the coaches to handle it in high school.
I got you. So basically, if they get out of control and they don't get it handled, then the coach is gonna go. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the head coach goes first, and then what happens if it continues on? Like you just go down the line to the next coach, or what?
Yep, next up.
All right, you're next. Yeah. What about at the college level?
Just let him go.
Yeah, you can't do anything.
Yeah, there's nothing.
You can't do anything to the coach
the only
either.
thing, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to walk over to the coach and say, "Hey, there's an issue with that fan. You need to deal with it." Or they'll bring a site administrator, and they'll have them go out there and talk to it. I can tell you an instance I had. And it's the only instance I've ever had with the fans in this, and so it was a regional, and the regional, I could hear parents starting to argue with one another. You know, it's like, oh, that boy, and they got into it, and then I heard a dad and a mom getting after it, and I was like, in my mind, this is about to go south. Because there's that woman has to have a boyfriend or a husband that is literally about to walk up and clock this other dude in the mouth.
Right.
But in the instance, I'm sitting there just listening to it, but I am watching every kid on the team in the field start to look into the stadium and watch. And as an umpire, like, I need you kids playing. Quit worrying about what's going on there.
Right.
So I literally I've called both coaches to the plate, and I asked for both. I said, I need your site administrators here. So, for example, I had the principal of one school and the superintendent of the other school, and I said, hey, we need to take care of them. And so this is me just throwing an idle thread out, and I said, so this is what's going to happen if they don't stop. I'm going to eject the whole stadium, which I can't.
Oh, really?
I said, no, I can't eject the whole stadium.
Oh, I got you.
I said, I'm going to eject the whole stadium, and we're going to play baseball right here, and I don't care if the stadium's empty. Both of them went out here and back and went, hey, y'all all need to knock it off. Quit talking to each other. Quit arguing with one another, or he's going to throw the whole stadium. Hey, it literally stopped. We had a perfect game from then on out.
Yeah.
It worked. I threw a bluff out there, and
it worked.
My signer probably wouldn't want to hear that. He'd be like, what? You threatened to throw the whole stadium out? Yes, I did.
That's funny. You're gone. You too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. God, that's funny.
But in that instance, it was getting like, I started envisioning things like, I'm going to have a pitch come in, the kid's going to hit it, and then I'm going to get a kid hit in the mouth or hit in the face because he's watching what's going on in the stadium.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean,
most of the time, when we hear someone heckling us, you know who it is? Another umpire coming to watch us. They're like giving us a hard time. I come give him a hard time at his games.
Yeah.
He comes to watch. I hear, "Come on, Blue, where was that?" I turn around, it's Steve. Like, dude, shut the hell up. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's so funny because I remember a couple of years, it might have been that 4A tournament, the championship in Breakdown. I know there was that umpire, I knew him. And so he was sitting front row and he's yelling at the other umpire, "Come on, Blue, you blew that call."
Yeah.
I'm like, you're an umpire too.
But we're not to do it, though. It's fun for us.
Yeah. I was just laughing. I was like, well, I thought they were supposed to support each other, but I get the other side of it.
That's how
too.
we do it.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Weird.
That's funny. Now, how would you approach a game that you know there's conflict? Like they've had conflict before, not with you guys, but against, each other. So how would you approach that? Do you address that before the game, or?
So two teams that we've known that have had issues. So usually it can happen a lot of ways. Usually can walk in, go to the plate meeting, look at both coaches, and tell them like, "Hey, we're aware of what happened last night in this series," and let them know we're not putting up with it. So you better put your players on notice that if it gets out of hand, we're going to handle it quick and fast. And if it takes starting to toss people, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Usually you don't have to, because everybody's aware of it, and they're aware that umpires are aware of it, and they know. So I can give you an example. This happened at Yukon and Mustang. And so there was a conflict, and I literally got called on a Sunday, and they said, "Hey, and there's a tournament. We're about to have the tournament final. It's between Yukon and Mustang. We had problems with Yukon Mustang earlier in the tournament. And they're doing things, they're ready, and both of them are doing things they probably shouldn't have." So for example, I don't know if I probably should say this, but like, this was a JV tournament, and like, one team showed up with 4 kids off of varsity.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So when they showed up the championship, the other school showed it up with half their varsity squad. It's like, really?
Bring it on.
They called me. My assigner called me, and he's like, "Hey, can you go do Mustang and Yukon the championship game?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, when is this game?" And he goes, "In 10 minutes. Can you get there?" What? So I went. I was like, "Yeah, I'll go."
Right.
And I literally walked in, and I was like, "Hey, I'm fully aware of what's going on, and I'm not putting up with it." I said, "Yukon only talks to Yukon. Mustang only talks to Mustang." And I said, "Anything outside of that," I said, "I will deal with, and we're not putting up with it. And I will start ejecting people if we have to."
Right.
So I had more complaints from parents griping about the strike zone, but like, other than that, it was a clean game. Nothing was said. I mean, the typical yelling and screaming because one gets a double and they score a run. Other than that, but nobody talked to nobody. It really was just a clean, competitive rivalry game.
Yeah. Well, because the coaches knew, but the parents didn't get to hear that.
Yeah. But I think when you walk into a game and on a rivalry, or when you've had issues, and you just go into the plate meeting and establish that we're not putting up with it.
Right. Right.
So you need to play it by the rules. We're going to play it by the rules, and we're not going to let the extracurricular stuff go. I think you set the tone, and everybody's aware of it.
Right. Have you ever had a crazy experience where both teams just going at it, or they end up in a fight or something?
Not personally, but I heard that like a home and away series, like the previous night got really bad. So the next plate guys come up there at the meeting and said, "This is your bench warning for both teams." One word is said, that person's done.
Well,
they cut it short.
Yeah. No, I asked because back when I'm from Venezuela, it's a little bit different story. They can come out. I remember it clearly. I'm trying to remember the age. Well, I shouldn't say the age. But anyways, they literally came out, like the parents came out on the field, and a coach came out on the field with a knife. So you can only imagine how crazy that gets. So I always wondered if umpires ever come across crazy games like that.
So I will not mention the names, because who knows if they're listening and they might not be happy. So I was doing a game, and one come out to argument, and he goes, "Can you get help with your partner?" Absolutely, but you need to go to the dugout, and I'll go talk to him. I started walking to my partner, and I look. Coach is following me. I'm like, "Coach, since when's this the rule?" Like, it's always been a rule that if I go get help and we have a discussion with my partner, you have to go to the dugout, and you cannot come out and argue. And if you do, you're ejected. Oh, that's crap. I'm like, well, that's the rule. Go to the dugout. So I went out, we kept the call the same. Later in the game, the other coach comes out and argues, Steve, can you get help? Like, I'll go see if he's got anything different. But you need to go to the dugout. And I took off to go see my partner. And all of a sudden, the other coach, I hear him go, no, Steve, you didn't let me go out there. Don't you dare let him go. And I turn around, and the coach is following me. I was like, hey, you need to go to the dugout. Well, then one coach says, hey, you need to mind your own, tells the other coach, you need to mind your own business. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, they're nose to nose, face to face. And one coach is telling the other one, goes, well, you better realize who you're talking to, big boy. Mm-hmm. And I literally have to jump between these two coaches, and they're just bowed up on each other. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I cannot believe I'm getting between these two coaches. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And here I am now between them, telling them to go to the dugout. We're not doing this, and y'all are both about. And I'm literally like, I'm about to both warn you, get gone. Then they both start laughing. They're like, we're best friends. Like, I don't know that. Nobody's ever told me that, so don't be starting that crap with me. But now every time I see them, they want to joke about it.
Yeah.
That they pulled that on me. Really?
That's funny. That's what I was going to ask you. It ended up being funny. But I guess if it would have got out of control, like, who do you toss? Like, do you toss them both automatically, or whoever
Oh, yeah.
comes out first?
Both of them, it wouldn't have mattered. They were both aggressive. They both come across aggressive. Both of them are bowed up on each other. Yes, they would have both been. I'd have tossed them both.
Yeah, I got you. I figured that's the way it was, but I didn't know if it was whoever got it started first. So, now, what level do you think is the hardest to work at? Is it the in terms of coaches and fans and parents? Is it youth, or high school, or college? Or I know you've worked the pro games.
Man, youth is really just tough. and I'll say this, because majority of youth is the fans are on top of you because the backstop is right there. Mm-hmm. It is brutal because they are right there on top of you, and then
5 dads coaching.
You got 5. Yeah,
baseball.
that's exactly right. You have 5 dads coaching.
Right.
Think they know baseball, which they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just, they think they know the rules. They come out trying to tell you the rules, and you have to politely tell them, no, that's not the rule.
Right.
So that is the roughest. High school can be rough. Because I do believe there are some good coaches in high school that know the rules. Mm-hmm. And like, for some of them will know something that, even we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Some don't know the rules still.
Huh?
Some don't know the rules still.
Well, I agree with that too.
All of them. They know most, but not all of them.
Right.
To me, it's about the catchers. The youth catchers aren't very good. You get beat up.
Yeah.
Middle school, a little better. You still get beat up. Sub-varsity, a little better. You still get beat up. Varsity, you got a good catcher. College, you got a good catcher. You stay clean behind the plate. Better baseball, better coaches, better parents. By then, they know not what to argue, what to call. My new thing now this year, I started in with the catcher. If I'm behind the catcher, if someone's barking behind me, either mom or dad, I'll go to the catcher. Is that your mom? If that's your mom, I swear, you ain't getting any more calls. No, Blue, I promise, that's not her. I'll go, batter. Is that your dad? No, sir, that ain't my dad. He would never talk like that. I said, if it's your dad, no more calls for you. I just love saying that. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
And plus, I get them on their edge a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, the older they are, the better the catchers, the better it is the call.
Well, now that you say that, which you may not admit it, or maybe you'd rather not go there, but so if the other team gets pretty loud, right, or the other parents, do you kind of make a couple of bad calls on them on purpose, or you just kind of keep calling your game?
No. We don't care who wins or loses.
Yep.
Everybody else
Don't care.
does except for us, but we don't care.
Yeah.
So that keeps it fair. I have no skin in the game.
Yeah.
The umpires, we don't care. You care. The
Right.
Mom and dads care. Players care. We don't.
Yeah.
So why call it one way or the other when
I'm not gonna lie. If I was an umpire, I'm like, screw you.
yeah.
You're out, safe, or whatever the opposite what they call it supposed to be. Now, when it comes to like this strike zone, does it change from? I'm assuming it changes from little league to high school and college, or you try to keep it the same? Because obviously the catch is not as strong as the older guys. But does it change at all?
It's wider. The younger boys get a wider strike zone.
Yeah.
In high school varsity or in college, you get it's tight. They expect you to hit that zone.
Right.
It doesn't move. Once we set in the first inning, we try to lock it in where it's the pitcher can adjust to us. We're not going to adjust to the pitcher.
But do you call a ball a strike, or it crosses on the plate, or where they catch it?
Or crosses.
Or crosses the plate.
Because I know catchers nowadays are taught to kind of make it a little bit deceiving for them.
Steve has a good thing with that with catchers that are younger. They'll grab it and they'll pull it in about 8 inches and hold it, and he'll say, "Why are you doing that? Just frame it there and keep it. Let me see it. I might grab it if you hold it there.
Right.
If you move it 8 inches, you're telling me that's a ball. If it's close, frame it and hold it. Give it a second, and I'll go, oh yeah, that's a strike.
Right.
But once you pull it in like that, you move it that far, that's not a strike.
Yeah, because I guess if you see a drastic movement, then to you it's a ball.
Yeah. 'Cause
Right,
You're,
even
you're
if it's-
trying to fool the umpire to thinking it's a strike. When you could have held it there and let me see it, maybe. Could give it to you.
So what's truly? Go ahead. Sorry.
Coaches are not here's that when they bring it in. Coaches don't argue so much about that. The big one is when they get that one that is, you got a righty pitch move left to right, looking towards your pitcher, and if they go stick it, they got it on the outer half, but they let that ball take them and slide and just float all the way out. Well, you coaches are going to go, dude, that he caught that and he reached so far out of the zone. How are you calling that a strike?
Yeah.
And so I'll tell them, like, stick it. Don't let that pitch take you out.
Right.
Stick it right there and hold it.
Don't bend your elbow.
Yeah.
And so the same thing for the low ones.
Because I've turned around and, like, at lower level, then I'm turning around letting these catchers go, and I'm telling you, at the lower level, the JV, when them catchers are like, I'll give you a perfect example. Curveball right down the middle, and all of a sudden, like, if he would go stick it, he'd stick it right at his knees. But then they think, oh, it's about to drop, so they turn their glove over and catch it. But I know it crossed the plate in the zone, and I call it a strike, and man, it erupts. It's like, how did you call that? He dropped and blocked it. Like, yeah, he did.
So
But
you don't really care like how he catches it. Obviously it helps, but it's more where it crosses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can catch it like this, like
Yeah, but that's not a good sign. You call that a strike, it's not a good look. When he could have just kind of, caught it and brought it up.
Right.
But that's when you get older too.
yeah,
The 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds can't pick it
right.
like that.
At the high competitive, which I'll use your Westmore, go do high level college. That catcher turns his glove over to catch it. I promise you that coach is going to come unglued.
Yeah.
He's like, how in the world can you call that a strike? The kid
Right.
flipped his glove over.
So you don't really wait for them to catch it and like kind of think it through for a second and then make a call, or you just where it crosses, that's it.
No. We still watch it come. It's all about timing too. You want to see it all the way in. You want to see it in the glove. Then you want to reprocess it, and you reprocess it, and it's all quick. Because yeah, that was in the zone. Yes, that was a strike. Now I'm going to make the call.
Right. Yeah.
I don't, because another thing is, if I see it in the zone and I'm going up calling it, a strike and nobody's heard the pop of the glove, you're going to have coaches telling you, how in the world you make that call a strike?
Yep.
The ball hadn't even hit the catcher's mitt yet, and you're calling a strike.
Yeah.
So as we talk about, we go to camps, we talk about timing, being good with timing.
So I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I had an umpire that we had probably about 5 years ago. Probably the worst I've ever. I mean, no offense to any of you guys, but he was pretty terrible. And I don't know if he was on something, but the ball was coming out on his hand, strike, and then just wait.
Oh my gosh!
It was the funniest thing. But and we had one of our. If he's listening to this, he'll remember this. But one of my buddies, he was coaching with me, and I thought he was gonna kill him. So I had to step in there. But anyways, it was so that's why I always ask, because I thought it was funny. But I always wonder if you guys see the catch or where it crosses. Now, what's truly the strike zone? Like, what's considered the strike zone? Like the height, I guess, like the up and down and.
So the strike zone is right around your shoulders, the halfway point between the shoulders and your waist.
Okay.
To the hollow of the knee.
Okay. So do you think it's hard to make the call? Again, I know you guys already said that or across the plate, but nowadays obviously the catches are going down on one knee, right? So they're trying to stick that low pitch. Has that thrown you guys off, or doesn't really make much of a difference?
Doesn't make a difference.
No.
I mean, you have batters that are 6'5", some are 5'6".
Right.
The strike zone moves up and down, so it's to them. But yeah, that's the hardest.
It
hardest
does.
ball.
It does.
The low one is the hardest one to get.
It does, but in deep reality, even though you've got a real tall kid if you've really broke it down and watched that adjust, it is more minute than you would ever think. Even though you see a kid that's 6'6" and a kid that's 5'5",
Right.
But in the reality of it is a very subtle. It's still a subtle movement. It's still pretty much close to the same.
I got you. Yeah, I would guess, like you guys are saying, that low one is gonna be tough, especially when you're looking over the catcher there. But honestly, I've never worked the game back there before, so I probably need to test it out.
Over the catcher. Okay, so
Well, you look
when
to
we
the right or
line
left.
up, we line up the catcher's head, and we're gonna be just barely above. Top of my eyes are gonna be at the top of the catcher's helmet. And to one side of the catcher's helmet.
Which way do you decide to go?
If on the right-handed batter, I'm going to be to the left of the catcher. Right-handed batter, I'm going to be on the right hand, and I'm also going to move over just a little bit so I can see an angle to the front corner of the plate.
Right.
So I see the whole plate.
That's called the slot. We got to get in the slot to see the plate.
Yeah.
Plus, you're out of harm of a foul ball. They go right past you instead of hitting you in the face.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Especially Little League, because I'm sure you almost become a punching bag out there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some great stuff. I never got the opportunity to talk to an umpire. You always get to talk to umpires quickly, but I never actually, I never get to ask this question.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people are like, we never knew this. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Well, I know you guys, got stuff to do, and I just wanted to, kind of get you guys in, and hopefully you guys will get to start a podcast too, because I think I'm sure there's a lot more to it, because I'm just basically asking you some of the general questions that I know a lot of people want to ask, but I feel like if you guys start a podcast, that would be awesome, because you'd be surprised how much people want to know about this stuff that they had no clue.
Yeah, we talk every night after our games.
Yep.
There you go. That should be your podcast.
Hey, guess what happened tonight? Check out this now.
We talk about
I
the
go,
snares.
we'll check out what happened to me tonight. We talk nonstop after our games.
Yeah. So you guys still enjoying being an umpire?
Yeah. It's
love
fun.
I love it.
Yeah. Even when it's cold.
Yeah, even when
Not
it's
as much.
hot like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You got to layer up in the cold and just cool off.
I was telling him
Yeah.
yesterday. I was in the heat of the day. I was on a field, and I'm telling you, I was so hot. I was like, I don't know if I can do another inning. And I went up into the press box. I ripped everything I had off as quick as I could,
yeah.
and I laid shirts and everything on the back of a chair. The coach for the field we were at, he come in. He's like, man, that looked hot out there. Well, he sat down in the chair and he's like, oh my gosh, this chair is so wet. I'm like, he's sitting laid back on my shirt and everything.
Yeah. Sorry,
I was
Coach.
like, oh, that was my shirt. And he's like, oh my, you're kidding. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. He goes, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I mean, that's crazy. That's why I always make my kids like freaking spraying on off the field. I'm sure, I don't know, maybe it helps the umpire. Obviously, it helps the whole.
We love that.
Yeah, because there's some umpires that will come up to me and be like, hey, I would appreciate it if you tell your guys to, you know, just basically hustle out there and not walk, because that absolutely drives me crazy when they walk to their positions. But, well, any final words or anything, any tips or recommendation to coaches or parents that you like, I wish they would stop doing this or...
No, just coaches, don't be afraid to approach us.
Yeah,
Right.
Be
exactly
respectful.
right.
Have your question. We'll answer it. Just don't be personal and just be respectful. We'll talk to you all day. I think Steve was at a tournament in Dallas, and one of the coach Richardson, I think,
Yep.
said, "Man, you're so easy to talk to." It's like, yeah, just have a question and let's talk. Yeah.
And I have kids. I've had kids multiple times. It's like Lily tell me I'm afraid to talk to you. I'm like, as long as you're respectful, I'll talk to you all day long.
Yeah,
Just be respectful.
right.
You come at me aggressive, we might have a different conversation.
Well, so I think it goes both ways too.
Absolutely.
Because like even like this past tournament that I was coaching at, you could not approach any of the guys. Like the field umpires, I'm like, shoot. So the main guy, he was pretty nice, but he was polite and he would listen. The guy on the field, he would literally walk away when I was trying to talk to him. I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of got to go both ways, I think.
Yeah, I hate that happened.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys for your time. This is pretty awesome stuff. Maybe in the future, I get you guys back on again or something.
Absolutely. I would love it.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
you said, we're thinking about trying to do our own podcast.
You should. You're already doing it over the phone,
I
so
know.
might as well just put a press
You
record.
can be one of our first guests.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I would love to. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of this episode. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube and you'd like to comment below your questions or anything that maybe you learned today, that would be awesome. Until next time, keep it Moy Style.